And welcome back to the Crochet Crowd, as well as my friends over at yarnspirations.com. It is Christmas morning. Woo! Christmas striped throw from yarnspirations.com, and it's a really fun sampler. Now this sampler actually has different sections in it, and I have went further with this and created you some diagrams. So if you want to have those diagrams, go to the link in the more information of this video and follow us over to the Crochet Crowd for this particular pattern, and you can download those as a separate download. So what we have here is a lot of written instructions, but there's a lot of repeating stuff going on in order to get this to work. So because it is a stitch sampler, there is multiples involved, and that's what I'm going to take you through next. So the first diagram here is rows number 1 through 10, and so you're just gonna follow things up until row number 10. I didn't put the colors on here because the colors are listed on the pattern, so you want to download that pattern in order for you to kind of work it off and just check it as you go. So you can print this, save this to your device, whatever you would want to do. But this is not the only rows. You also are going to continue after row number 10 to 11 through 18, and then through 19 to 21. The reason why I separated these out, I just said it was a sampler, because there's different stitches involved in here. There's different stitch multiples that work together, so I couldn't just draw one diagram and everything fits perfectly within the one diagram because the multiples are changing in the sections. So I put in a red line where those sections are so that you can get an indication of how it's going to work. So it shows you the beginning of a row and end of a row, and I just adjusted it for each one of these sizes. So you can just check as you go. Now on the pattern itself, it has all the colors that are listed. There's a total of 6 colors, and this is using your Red Heart Super Saver if you wish. And I just substitute. So what I like to do for myself is that I grab my yarn ball and I put the number or the letter near the UPC code of the yarn, and so I just put it in a little basket right beside me. And so whenever it's telling me to change a color, I look at that, because sometimes I'm like red and sometimes I have pink, and you can get confused. So I just assign all the colors right now, write it onto the yarn ball. So we're going to begin, and you're gonna chain 141. Now because it is a stitch sampler, I have not been able to figure out what it is to be able to change the size. So this is exactly what you see, 141 stitches in order to make this work. So if you want to figure it out how to make it smaller, be my guest to do that. I've not been successful in figuring that out at this time. So let's continue now, and we're gonna get ourselves started with this particular pattern. You'll need a 5mm size H crochet hook, and of course use that Red Heart Super Saver or yarn of that equivalency. So let's begin into the first section here. I'm going to refer to the color in the pattern itself, but what we want to do is we want to chain 141. Now I just did a small little swatch, so this section here, rows number 1 through 10, fits within this particular diagram, but it's when you start jumping the diagrams that's when it gets a little bit dicey. So you're gonna chain your 141 to start, and then you're just gonna single crochet yourself across the chain and just work your way up sequentially. This is the granite or the moss stitch right here. You want to be a little bit looser with your stitches because this stitch has a tendency to pull right in. So just be careful with that. You may want to increase your hook size in this particular spot, because that's what I would do if I were you and you were me. So that's up to you. Let's begin the chain and start row number 1. So let's begin row number 1. We're just gonna create a slip knot. This is an intermediate level project, and we're going to chain 141. I'm just gonna do a small swatch with you today just to demonstrate these stitches for you. So just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, go all the way to 141, and meet me back here in just a moment. Once you're ready to go all the way across, you're gonna go second chain from the hook, so just count it back. So 1 and 2, and get the back hump of the chain, and just single crochet 1 into each one of the chains. Once you get the back hump of the first one, the next one should just be available to you. The chain will stay upside down and continue across. So 1 single crochet in each of the chains going all the way across using the color B. We're gonna be changing our color once we get to the last stitch at the end. So we're just coming up all the way to the end. Now you have choices that you would like to do, and it depends on your application. So we have to get rid of this yarn, and what I would do is just trim this now, and you can just weave in your yarn. I would probably weave it in if it were me and I were you, but you can also use a tapestry needle just to take this and just go back and forth 3 times to bury it underneath the stitches if you would like to do that as well. I would weave it probably about 2 inches in, and then I would start the next row, and then once that row is complete, then I would go back and then trim this down so that it's kind of out of the way. And when you trim it, just make sure you kind of yank on it a little bit and give it its full flexibility so that you can get pretty much close to the start. So you're gonna turn your work now. So let's turn and let's begin row number 2. And row number 2 is using the color A. So row number 2 is color A. In my case it's gonna be gray. I'm just making up my own colors as I go. And I'm going to attach it to the last single crochet on the edge. And I'm just going to attach, so just pull through and through and chain 3, which will count as the first double crochet. Pull that tight and lay this on top of the line. And when you're going across, just that blue that you were just trapped in there, make sure that you kind of scoop that up too and get that stuck underneath. So you're just gonna double crochet starting in the next stitch all the way across. Okay, so just use that and just double crochet across, and I'll see you at the end of the row. I'm coming up to the end of row number 2. Go right into that very last one, and we're gonna keep this color going into row number 3. So row number 3, we're gonna turn our work, chain up 3, which counts as the first double crochet. So your next one is right here, right where I'm pinching, and you'll just double crochet yourself back all the way across. And then we are gonna get rid of this color and move on to C as we continue into row number 4 and really do that fun stuff. So see me there in just a moment at the end of this row. So I'm just coming all the way across. Don't forget that turning chain, which is that chain 3 is still a stitch. So if you're a new crocheter and you're missing a stitch, chances are you're missing to do that. Make sure you go right into the actual chain work itself, not to a space, and just finish that off. We're gonna finish this color. Now as we move into row number 4, doing all that granite and moss stitching, I'm recommending that you move to a 6mm size J crochet hook as you go. That type of stitch has a lot of tension to it. We've done it in the past, and when you start mixing with other stitches you tend to be a little bit tighter. So that's a recommendation. I leave that with you. That's experience telling you that, not the pattern. So without further ado, let's just turn our work and move to row number 4. Let's go back to the diagram now. So as we move to number 4, what we're doing is that we're creating these spaces. So we're single crocheting the first one, skipping a stitch, single crochet the next, and you do that all the way across. Keep in note that there's 2 single crochets in a row at the end. Then you're going to move on to row number 5. It's exactly what you just did, but you're just putting a single crochet in the chain 1 spaces. So single crochet, chain 1 to skip 1, and then continue, and remember that there's 2 single crochets left at the end. So one's in the chain 1 space, one is in the last double single crochet. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rows of this, and we are going to be changing our colors as we're doing this, so you have to just keep an eye on that. So let's move our hook up to a 6mm size J. Again, that's my own preference. You decide what's working for you. So row number 4 is using the color C as in cat. Let's begin row number 4. I'm using purple, that's my color C. So we're gonna start off in the very first double crochet that you left. It was the last one that we were just in. So I've already turned my work if I didn't tell you that already. So we're gonna just join it. So just pull through, chain 1, and single crochet into the same one. So that's how you're gonna get started. Pull everything nice and tight. Now you need to chain 1, skip the next one, and single crochet the next. Noticing that my hook changed. So chain 1, skip the next one, and go into the next. Noticing that I'm still dragging that underneath the stitches to trap it in, I have a plan. So just bear with me on that. So chain 1, skip 1, single crochet in the next, and you're gonna do that all the way across on row number 4. So do that, and I'll see you at the end of row number 4. When you get all the way to the end, I'm just chaining 1, skipping 1, and the 2 last stitches, that one plus the turning chain, is the 2 last, and you're gonna get rid of this color now. So fasten this color off, weave it in, and then we're gonna turn our work and then do row number 5. And number 5 is going to be using the color D as in dog. So just kind of weaving this in. So when you weave this in, I would go across the tops, across the spaces, and just do a few of those and get it stuck underneath, and we can trap that in without having to use a tapestry needle. So let's continue to do that and move and turn and go for row number 5 using D. So D in my case will be pink. So let's continue to row number 5, creating a slip knot. Now number 5, if you look at the instructions, says repeat, repeat, repeat row 5. That's what we're doing right now, is row number 5. Let's attach it to the first single crochet and let's pull through and attach it. Chain 1 and 1 single crochet there. So row number 5, here's the plan. So chain 1, okay, skip the next single crochet and go right to this chain 1 space. When you go around that space, make sure that straggler that you were hiding is part of that, and it will just kind of loop with it and get stuck into the stitching. So chain 1, skip to the next chain 1 space. So ignore those single crochets, you're working in between them, and just work with the chain 1 spaces across. So do that all the way across. This is row number 5, and it's actually really easy, and so far it's looking good. Let's continue in to the end of row number 5. When you get to the end, see, this is where you buried that purple. Make sure that purple straggler stays up inside. So just when you go into it, just keep that purple straggler on the top of the hook, and therefore it's a nice clean look and it's stuck underneath. And you'll go all the way across, and remember there's 2 single crochets in the end, so it's this space plus the very last one. Let's get rid of this color and move to number 6, which is going back to the purple. So let's hide this, cut this yarn, weave it in, and then let's move on to row number 6. Let's move to row number 6. We're moving back to that purple color. This color C as in cat. Let's just join it to the first single crochet and pull through, chain 1 and 1 single crochet. Just pull things nice and tight before you move on. Chain 1, skip the next single crochet that's here, and then go right for that space, and then go around that straggler to trap it in. So chain 1, go to the next space, chain 1, and so forth. And please do this. This is row number 6, and I'll see you at the end of this row. When you get all the way to the end, don't forget you still have that chain 1 space left and that last single crochet. So there's 2 in a row. Get rid of this color once again and switch it back to the other color that you were just playing with, and let's move on. Do you see how it's kind of buckling in a little bit? This will stretch out, but if it was a smaller hook, it would literally just kind of stay in, and you will be noticing that on your Afghan. Let's continue into row number 7. Okay, row number 7, we're going to join this other color. If you don't want to change colors, you don't have to either, just so you know. So just join it to the first single crochet, chain 1 and single crochet in the first, pull things tight, chain 1 and come right to that next chain 1 space, then chain 1 and go for the next space, and etc. So do that all the way across. This is row number 7, and we have one more row of this, and then we're gonna be switching off and doing something different. We're also getting close to the end of that first diagram where you'll have to switch the page and move on. And finally coming to the end, last one, there's 2 single crochets in a row, don't forget, and we're gonna change it one more time back to the purple, and then that will conclude this moss or granite stitch that you are seeing and moving on. Weaving this in, let's begin row number 8 next. Let's begin the final one for this particular section. This is number 8, and you're gonna just join it using that purple or whatever color you decided, and chain 1 and single crochet and start again. So chain 1, skipping the first single, go right to the first space and continue. So chain 1, go to the next space, and etc. Please do this all the way across. This is row number 8. So I'm coming up all the way to the end to the last space, and then finally the last single crochet. So let's get rid of this color now. This is the color purple there. This is C, and we're gonna be moving on now into row number 9 using the color A as an apple. In my case that will be gray once again. Okay, rows number 9 and 10, back to the gray. Now 9 and 10 is, this double crochet is like a consistent thing all the way through. If you really look at the Afghan, you'll see the red striping. So when you look at it from this perspective, you'll see the red stripes. They're solid. It's a consistent thing throughout. In this case, mine would be gray, would be the consistent. So attaching to the first one, switch your hook back to a 5mm size H, and then just join to the first single crochet, chain up 3, which counts as a double crochet, and then moving into each. So you're just gonna 1 single crochet into each of the single crochets and also to the chain 1 spaces. So you want to fill in everything at this point and make it solid once again. So fill in those spaces and chain 1 spaces, and or fill in the spaces and also the single crochet. Sorry, I'm kind of slipping up, and I will see you at the end of this row. This is row number 9. So I'm coming up to the final last space here, and then the last single crochet. So this is the end of row number 9. You see that it pretty much balanced itself back out. Okay, just a little bit of stretch and you're good. See? Nice. So we're gonna chain our turn and work and do row number 10, keeping the same color. And 10 we're just gonna chain 3 to begin and 1 double crochet into each, going all the way back across. Really liking my color combinations. Maybe even better than the sample, but don't tell anybody. Okay, so continue across, 1 double crochet into each. So I'm coming up to the end of row number 10. Don't forget that turning chain is a stitch, and we're gonna get rid of this color and then we're going to bring you back with the diagram. So just weave in your ends. We're gonna switch our pages to the other diagram now and move on to row number 11. So moving back to the diagram here, rows number 11, 12, 13 and 14, so the next 4 rows are each gonna be the same color, and in this case it'll be the color E for me. So this is going to create a V-stitch area. It's kind of got a, it almost feels weird in some ways, but actually if you just kind of just bear with it, it actually is pretty good. So let's move on now to row number 11. It's just single crochets. The V-stitching is just for 2 rows and then we're back to single crochets all over again. I had to leave a space here because what we need to do is compensate for an extra stitch that's here in order to have the balance. So we'll just have to watch for that when we get there. Let's move on to row number 11 using the color E as an elephant. Let's move along, continuing with your H size 5mm hook. Let's just join it to the last double crochet that you just left off. Chain 1 and 1 single crochet. So we're just gonna do 1 single crochet into each of the stitches. Go right up over top of that straggler, trap it underneath and do 1 single crochet in each, and this is row number 11. So it's coming across. Don't forget that turning chain is a stitch, so just go right into the chain itself and single crochet, and that was it. So let's turn our work. We're now going to begin that fancy row number 12, and let's just go nice and slow here. We're gonna chain 3, which will count as your first double crochet. And what we have to do in this case, we have to skip the next 2 single crochets and go to the 3rd one away. You see that? And we're gonna double crochet in that one, and then we're gonna chain 1 and then double crochet in that same one again. You're only gonna skip 1 stitch and go to the 2nd over and just do 1 double crochet by itself. And let's start the repeat pattern going all the way across now. So skip the next one, go to the 2nd one over and do a V-stitch. So it's a double crochet, chain 1 and double crochet into the same one. So skipping the next one, double crochet into the next, and then start another V-stitch. So skipping 1, go to the 2nd over, double crochet, chain 1, 1 double crochet. And I want you to keep doing that all the way across. So skipping 1, double crochet, skipping 1 and then V-stitch. So double crochet, chain 1, double crochet. Please do this all the way across. This is row number 12. So because now I'm working on a swatch sample, my ending of this one will not be right because I had to divide the diagram like I told you. So if you're doing your 140 stitches across like you should be, then it will work out. So after you get that last V-stitch in and the double crochet down, you're gonna use the next stitch in a row and do a double crochet, and then you're going to chain 1, and in the next one you're going to double crochet, and then that's it. That's the end of your row. So because of the multiples of the way that the size of this swatch is, it doesn't work out that way, but it does work when it's a main sample. So when we go to turn and work for row number 13, we're gonna chain 3. So 1, 2, 3, and we're gonna double crochet right into this chain 1 space right next door. Okay, so what we need to do is that we need to concentrate on the double crochets that are resting in between these V stitches. So VV, here's the double. So in this edge, this is the way that it's been done, is that this is technically the V, so the middle one is right here. Okay, so it's the one just before the first V, and that's where you're gonna play. So you're gonna double crochet into that one, chain 1 and double crochet there. So this is where you're making the V shape. In the middle of the V is where you're gonna place a double crochet straight down. Okay, so here is the double crochet between the V stitches, so that's where your next V is. So just V stitch into there and then double crochet right into the next V stitch itself, the middle. Okay, so go right into the next double crochet and start your V, and then your straight one down is in the middle of the next V, and you're gonna do that all the way across. When you finally get all the way to the end, you're gonna end up in this section right here into the middle of the V. So then all you're just gonna do is that you're gonna double crochet the next double crochet here, and then finally the last turning chain when you get there. So this side is just, that's because we started going across. So this side will line up and etc. So that's what it looks like. And so then we're gonna turn our work and then do row number 14 using the same color, and all we're just gonna do is just chain up one and do one single crochet in each of the stitches going all the way across. So I'll see you at the end of this row, and then we're gonna move on to row number 15. Oh, just keep a mental note, in between the V stitch there is a stitch there, that chain one. Don't forget to fill that in or you'll be missing stitches. At the edge of our number 14, the other side, just fill in the stitches as you know it, and then just go into that turning chain, and then that's it. Okay, so that's what it would look like that. So let's get rid of this color and move on to row number 15 and 16, and guess what color that's gonna be? Yeah, it's gonna be that gray again. Let's continue to 15 and 16 next. So let's just kick you off on 15 and 16. You can just do it all in one sweep. I don't need to take you through each one anymore. So just attach it to the first one, and then chain 3, which will count as your first double crochet, and then just apply one double crochet in each all the way to the end. And then at the end I need you to turn your work, chain up 3 and do one double crochet all the way back, and then get rid of this color. So it's just 2 rows back and forth with double crochets, and we've already done this twice before in the past, so you should be able to do it on your own right now. So I'll see you at the end of row number 16, and we'll continue our journey. So we're now moving to the end of row number 16. We're gonna move on to 17. Let's get rid of this color, and then we're gonna move on to a new color. F is in Frank. In my case it will be red. So let's continue this journey and move on to row number 17 next. Sorry, got confused for a sec. So row number 17 and 18 are both the same thing and same color as well. So just attach to the beginning double crochet, pull through, chain up 1, and apply 1 single crochet into each stitch going all the way across. We've done this in the past, I believe, single crochet. So when we get to the other side, we're just going to turn our work, chain 1, and apply 1 single crochet into each of the stitches going back. So please do now rows number 17 and 18 using the color red, just single crocheting back and forth 1 time. So coming to the end of row number 18, it's just single crocheting across. We're gonna get rid of this color now, and then I have to jump the diagram to the final diagram that is gonna start then on row number 19. Let's get rid of this, and then we'll go back to the diagram quickly. So finally we're on our final diagram, 19, 20, and 21. Again, this is a different stitch multiple because of the bobbles, but in the when you chain that 141 that you started, it will work out. So we're gonna chain up 1, and we're gonna do 1 single crochet in the first 2, and then this bobble, and then the next 4 stitches are a single, and then another bobble, so it's 4s in between, and then there should be 2 left over at the end. So you'll notice that I may end a little early because the fact of that stitch multiple, but if it's the real sample it should not be a problem. So let's move on now to the color. What is my color next time? It is number 19, and it states that it's color B as in boy. So let's move on to blue. So let's move on and just turning our work and beginning. So row number 19, we're going to just start with the first one, attach it, chain 1, 1 single crochet. So we're gonna single crochet its friend next door, so the first 2 are single crochet, and then the next one is a bobble. To do the bobble, you're gonna wrap the hook, and you gotta do it 4 times. That's why there's 4 lines. So just going in, pull through 2 and hold, and do that 3 more times. So you keep doing that until you get 5 loops onto the hook. So there's your 5. Pull through all 5 and immediately just come into the next single crochet and single crochet the next 5. When this squats down, you want to concentrate. So this is 19, so pop it, use your finger, pop it to this, to the side facing you, and that will stay on that side. So do the next 4. So that you have 1, 2, 3 and 4, and then another bobble. So to do that, so wrap and in, pull through 2, and keep doing that until you get the 5 loops on the hook. So pull through all of them and then just kind of manipulate it so it wants to stay facing out like that. Okay, and so you're doing 4 in betweens, and you're gonna do that all the way across in this row. Just like that. So please do that and you will end up with these little bumps on the front side and continue all the way across doing the same thing. And so I'm gonna come all the way across, and then finally the last 2 will be a single crochet. Remember, this is a multiple issue, that's why it's not going right to the edge. So you start off, you have 2, then you do your bobbles, you have your 4 single crochets, and then you have your bobbles in between. So once you get all the way to the end, you're gonna fasten this color off and then bring back your red color, so the original color here, and we're gonna do 2 rows of single crochet once again. So let's do the final 2 rows, rows number 20 and 21. It's just in the repeat. You're just gonna attach it to the first single crochet that you end up with. Chain 1 and do 1 single crochet in each stitch all the way across. You may want to keep a count just to make sure that you're not adding any stitches. So in the top of the bobbles, that's 1, and then remember there was 4 single crochets in between these bobbles. If you want to count 4 in between, so we have 1, 2, 3 and 4, and then you got a bobbles the next one, and then 1, 2, 3 and 4, and then a bobble. So in the next, and you're gonna do that all the way across. When you get to the end, all you're just gonna do is just turn your work, chain 1 and do 1 single crochet in each of the stitches going all the way across. So I kind of realized as I was crocheting this, I couldn't understand why there were so many instructions, and then I was looking at that planning layout, and then I realized I clued into finally why. So we're gonna turn our work and do your final row across. Just use your fingers and pop those out and do your final. So just chain up 1 and do 1 single crochet, and that will take you to the end of row number 21, and then everything else is what you know except for the border, which we will cover next. And I will take you through the planning layout to explain why there's so many written instructions for the next several rows. So we're just getting to the very end, and I'm just gonna fasten off this color, and then the pattern says to go back and repeat to rows 2 and 3 as we start rows number 22 and 23. So everything that you have learned can be applied to the remaining of your blanket. Now when you go to finish this off, you want to go and look at the particular sample. So let me show you that. So what I hadn't realized is that I'm trying to think why there's so many instructions. So when I look at this tinge of green right here in this, the next time you see the green, it's actually more subdued. So what's happening is that they're changing the colors in this one here to being polar opposite to what it is. So instead of the green being the dominant, so in my case the purple here being dominant, the pink will be dominant next time, and the purple will be just the 2 rows. So it's just switching locations. So you'll see that this one here, the V-stitches, they're always going to be the same. So those are the green, and then the bobbles here, you'll notice that one time it's got pink background with blue bubbles, and then the next time it's blue background with pink bubbles. So that's why there's so many written instructions of repeating so many rows with using the certain color layouts that you'll see within this particular sample. So once it goes through all the color layouts, it's telling you rows number 42 to 136, repeat rows number 2 through 41 twice. So that's exactly what it's gonna tell you to do. And then finally the final row is 1 single crochet in each double crochet across, and then that's it. So let's cover our border. So when you're ready for that, now you can return here for your border, and I'm gonna begin to do that next. We're gonna do our border, and it's consisting of 4 rounds. The first round looks really confusing the way it's written, but it actually makes a lot of sense when you really break down piece by piece. And what the designer is telling us is that this E color right here, this white, which is the V stitches, is taller than the rest of the stitches. Do you see how they're kind of like the same height here, except for this one? This is the color E. So they're telling you to put 4 double crochets along every other color except for this color E, and they want you to put 5 double crochets across. So all they're trying to tell us to do is that when we're going down the edge is to apply one more stitch when you're passing this color. On the corners, when we go to turn the corners, there's going to be when we turn the corners, it is going to be 3 double crochets in the very last one, and then we just turn our work and go along the edging. So it can be the top and the bottom, and then when we do the other side it's the same thing, is that we are going to then make sure that we have our color breakdown just like that. So let's just kind of quickly review on how to do that. So let's quickly review on how to do the border. So the border, what we can just do is that we can just attach to, it's gotta be the front side, so look for these bobbles, they'll be popping up towards you, and all we just need to do is just go completely around on this thing in order to make it happen. Okay, and what we're going to do then is just attach to the first one. You might as well go along a nice edge first and just attach and chain 3 and do 2 more double crochets into that one, and that'll help you turn the corner. So now you're just going to double crochet yourself into every stitch going across, and then when we get to the next corner and down the side, that's when the game plan changes slightly, and I'll see you there in just a moment. When you get all the way across to the other side, the last stitch you should put in 3 double crochets, and that'll help you turn. Okay, so now what we're going to do is this should be a flat edge. In my case it's not going to be because of the multiples, because it's a smaller swatch. So all it said to do is that there is 4 double crochets down the side of each of the colors except for E. So you're just gonna equally space out these. I'm just gonna kind of fold it a little bit. So you're gonna equally space out these double crochets so that there's 4 double crochets going along the edge of each color section. So there's the gray. When you go to do that, then just stay within the stitch work. Don't go into a gapping space if you can avoid it, and just equally space them out. If you feel like it needs more, add more, and if you feel like it needs less, then take out some. You have to use your best judgment. So to span across this one, it says that you would need 5 double crochets. So just going across, and that's because there's 4 stitches of that, or 4 rows of that color. So this is the 3rd one, 4th, and 5th. And so you'll do that all the way across. Again, you're back to the regular color, so there's only gonna be 4 along this striping, and etc. When you get all the way to the corner, then you're just gonna apply 3 double crochets to the corner and then turn and go along the edge. Again, that will be the bottom side, so you'll be able to go across there without a problem, and then you'll come back up the other side. So you're gonna do this for round number 1. In round number 2 and 3, all you're just going to do is that you're gonna get back to where you started, and you're gonna just make sure that the middle one of the grouping of 3 has 3 double crochets. So you're gonna do another row of this, or sorry, another round of this, and then another round. So that this is round 1, you'll have to do round 2 and then round 3 of the same color. Finally, in round number 4, you're gonna switch your color to B. In my case it would be blue, and you would just do the exact same thing, and you were going to just work your way all the way around using single crochet. So you just chain up 1 into a corner, apply 3 single crochets into the corner, and just 1 single crochet in each, and then go all the way around. So corners, just make sure you put in 3 single crochet. So you end up with really quite a beautiful border when it comes to this. If you would like to do pom-poms, we have pom-pom videos here on YouTube for both the Yarnspirations and the Crochet Crowd. You can apply those to the ends if you wish, and again, it's your creativity. You can do what matches what you would like to do the best. So this is a really neat concept. It's really not that hard. Just follow it step by step, and I really love this sample. I'm almost tempted just to do a whole big blanket for myself using this exact same color combo. Who knows? Until next time, it's Mikey on behalf of the Crochet Crowd, as well as my friends over at yarnspirations.com.